It is me. It is the Cyber Warrior. This is Cyber Warrior Studios, and I know you are all here for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour. And I got an amazing person coming on. Me and him had a little chat about a week or two ago now. He has his own show, and I'm going to let him discuss that as well because we like to cover all things around here. It doesn't matter what it is. And I just got to say, it's been a crazy week. It's been a long week. It's been hectic, everything else like that. And I know there's a lot of things going on in the world, but I want you here having a good time. Get your drinks, get your questions. And if you give me about 10 seconds, I promise we'll be right back. And we're back. And yes, it is me, the Cyber Warrior. With me this evening, I have the one and only Anthony Weaver. And Anthony is the host, founder, whatever you want to call it, of About That Wallet podcast. Anthony, thank you for joining me this evening.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me on, Derek. How's everything?
Dude, it's amazing having you here because you've been tuning in almost like every week. And it was funny because me and you had this discussion on your show, or at least getting into it before it started. I didn't even know you were in IT until me and you had our little discussion because you do so much about money management. It just never clicked in my head that that's what you did. So finding that out, I was like, I got to get you on. Like, we got to have a conversation here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And but one of the things about, in life in general, it's like we contain multitudes, and that's the whole purpose of it. And I think what Walt Whitman talks about that. It's a whole poem about it. You can look it up. I'm not sure the full phrase, but hey, we all contain multitudes, and that's what we're here to do.
And you're exactly right. You know, when we look at kind of how we go about things, and this is going to actually stem into our topic about leadership. You know, everybody has different facets of their personality, different ways they go about doing things, whether that's how they learn, how they grow, how they were brought up, and just understanding how these different things work. And so with that, I think we have to take that into consideration when we're dealing with others, especially in leadership roles. And the primary topic for today is being a leader and being the dumbest person in the room. And I say we should do that purposely. But before we get to that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and kind of what brought you into the IT/cybersecurity workspace.
Yeah, so I guess my story is just like everybody else. You started in the basement, your parents' basement, your first computer that your parents give you. Back in the day when machines were really tough to come by. And when I say tough to come by, meaning like the family actually had to pull together to buy your first laptop. I mean, the full CRTs, the beige box. I think back then I had the Hewlett Packard.
Yeah, there was
Hewlett Packard.
Compaq, Hewlett Packard, Packard Bell.
Was it
beige, off-white.
Beige off-white, yep.
All those type of colors. They're all the same, nothing fancy.
And they used to have the tape deck in the front just to record your stuff. But when, back when the floppies, they finally just came out with the 3.5 floppies. So, I was just playing around in DOS and playing around in just learning some of the basic computer games, the hidden games that were back in the day. And I was like, man, this is so cool. They used to have the tank game where you actually can sit on one side, you have to figure out the high and low, the X and Y axis, and then you launch it to fight your enemy and, played around with that stuff like that. And that was really the exciting piece about computers that got me into it. The thing about it, though, is just like one day I was playing online and I was just trying out some things, as you find out new commands, and then you wind up breaking a computer. And so I was taking the computer apart thinking I can fix it in time before my mom finds out, because remember, this is the only computer in the house. She found out that I broke it, so I actually had to stay in the basement until I had to take the whole thing apart, build it back from scratch. And then, because I couldn't eat that day, because I was downstairs tinkering with this thing until I think almost like 10 o'clock at night.
The old way of being raised, either you didn't eat or you got beat. Those were your two options.
Yep. If you don't eat, you get beat.
Food and just fix this shit.
Exactly. And then so that got my journey into the fascination about technology. And really trying to understand how can I not have this happen again. So I just decided to educate myself and started reaching people online. Back then, obviously, it was AOL. Used to play hearts and stuff like that on Yahoo Games. Remember that? That was popular back then. If you
Mhm.
guys are young, I mean, Yahoo Games
Prodigy.
was, yeah. So I met so many people through that, learning about the internet, learning about Roadrunner. I didn't even know that was even a thing. Um,
It's
yeah,
another
Road,
dial-up one.
yeah, because I was on AOL. I mean,
Uh-huh.
the little dial up man.
Dude, when you're broke, you gotta get them to cancel it, right? You call to cancel, and they give you another 6 months free. Dude, you
Oh yeah.
we got free internet for a while because you just canceled. Every time I was about to come up the end, "Hey, I'm canceling." "No, no, no, we'll give you 6 more months."
See, we weren't smart enough
Cool.
for that. It was just kind of like, hey, we got the service. You better use it. Just hope nobody make a phone call during that time frame. And that was it. So you had your set time throughout the night, so I could do my homework and everything like that. Hey, I'm about to get on the internet. But fast forward on, I went to college. Think I was going to do comp sci. Comp sci was really boring to me. I didn't need to learn about Fortran. I wanted to learn how to code a document, and I was like, most of the stuff that they were teaching me, I was like, I could learn this on my own with a book. I taught myself HTML and went to high school. Like they taught a little bit about that in high school, built web pages before and stuff like that. Remember, you said be able to keep a full web page on the floppy on the 3.5 floppy with your little memes man, it was fun times.
Back before MySpace, man.
Yeah.
Everything H even MySpace introduced people to code because you
Oh
had
yeah.
HTML. You coded the entire thing in HTML.
Yeah.
And
And
so, like,
then
it brought a
with
lot of people into it.
with the mouse track, my thing was like the mouse over stuff. And I actually thought that
Yep.
was interesting to create a different user experience when it came to my page. So I wanted the little mice trail to come
Mhm.
around with the music automatic playing, and that's what I wanted. But nowadays it's just like fast forward, I got out of that, went into teaching because I was like, I can learn comp sci whenever. Try to get a job as a teacher. I try to get a job in the IT field, and it was like, well, you're an educator. We don't take educators. We only go on by the book. Our HR people only want people in the technology program. So I couldn't even get a job as a technical person, even though I had more technical experience than the people that were actually applying because I already worked at Geek Squad. Shout out to the Geek Squad folks that are out there. We all get our start somewhere. I already worked at a help desk for NASA. So I was like, as an intern, and I'm trying to get a full job here, and nobody else would take me because I was doing an elementary education degree. So, I get my degree, and then I was like, let me just try to get a job because, as a teacher, I commend the people that when I used to work at NASA, they was like, why don't you just go to the schools? We like to see black men teaching schools and stuff like that. You belong out there. And I was like, no, I don't. So it was a lot of back and forth for there, but lo and behold, they just let me go. And then I was like, you know what? I need something. So I went on and did a help desk, the 24-hour help desk. You know
Mhm.
how that goes. Everybody get that start there. If you're an IT person, you all know we all been there. I think for those who didn't start off in help desk, I don't think you really understand. Like you got to get your stripes um, to respect those folks that do all the work on the back end. Like it's a lot. Um, and then going from that, I was like, you know what, I could do better than this. So then I just got my master's degree while I was working the night shift on help desk because I was actually doing remote support globally to other
Mhm.
countries and stuff like that, which was actually pretty cool. I didn't know that we could do that. But I was actually doing like 5 different help desks on one computer. And people complaining that they're busy nowadays, but that's a whole nother story. It's like you can't tell me you're busy. I've been busy. Try to answer the phone every 15 seconds. Like it doesn't happen. Man. But yeah, so going through that and then I try to get back with NASA because I was like, I really love the job.
Mhm.
You actually had drinking socials on Fridays. Every Friday, you get to drink. They bring out some snacks. You get to meet all the different scientists and actually see them behind the scenes before it comes out on the news. And it was actually amazing to be in the forefront of technology in the aspect of how things are brought in from space, cleaned up before it comes out to the public eye. And I thought that was amazing having that experience. But now it's just moving up the ranks and then try to come back to NASA. They was like, well, I was like, they was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I was like, a supervisor. And they was like, not T. You're not going to be there in 5 years. I was like, okay. So they didn't hire me back on. But the next job I took was, it was I'll call it the stepping stone. It got me to get me closer to management. It was a smaller group at that time. So I get to understand what the management side of the house was looking like. What was the skill sets that they had? And come to find out, I had more experience and certifications because at the time I just had the Sec Plus and my master's degree. I had a degree plus my certs more than the current supervisor. And I found out from somebody else after I left that they were jealous of me for having all of that. So they didn't want to put me forward to be a supervisor. And I was like, interesting. So just keep moving up the chain, and then finally leading that lead role of even just being a technical lead. It kind of opened up my eyes to understand, like, hey, we all looking for the same stuff, but what did I feel that imposter syndrome? And I did, because at one of the points is that I had people that were older than me on my team, and they've been there a lot longer than I have. But the thing about it, though, after having conversations with them, they was like, I just don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with the management up top. You can have it. And I was like, cool. So do you trust me? And they was like, well, that determines. And I was like, fair enough. So, I just gave them a couple of shots and everything like that. And then lo and behold, they wound up trusting me. And I think at the time, I think currently now doing about 100 people, over 100 people managing. So it's like, having that journey of being the hands-on person to move up the ranks the way I did, I wouldn't change anything though. I know it's a long story, but I mean that's kind of my
But
whole journey.
it lends to some of the problems that were and technically still are inherent within IT and cybersecurity. And we'll get to the imposter syndrome and dumbest person in the room thing, but it's that you're supposed to want to move up in an organization.
Yeah.
You can't move up unless you train your predecessor. So instead of being jealous of people, instead of holding people back, instead of telling people they can't go and forcing them to leave to move on to bigger and better things, why not train people to improve an organization and let you move up so then they can move up?
Yeah.
And you just bring people up with you. And that is one of the biggest things. And I had a conversation with my buddy today that I work with, and he's right in that when it comes to like dealing with people and being in leadership and management, the way I operate is I'm going to pull you up. I don't want to have to come down to your level. I want to pull you up to mine because I expect the best from everybody. I expect you to do your research. I expect you to ask questions if you have it, but never say you can't do something.
Yeah.
Ask me questions about it or say you're going to research it, but never say you can't do it. Don't say it's not your lane. Don't say something like that. Like,
You can say
literally,
that again.
if
That's
I
a famous
ask
line.
you to do something
Hmm.
and you don't know how, that's fine. We can figure it out, but I'm going to pull you up with me. I don't want to have to come down to your level or explain things at your level when I expect great things from you because I see your capabilities. And I think that's the problem with a lot of managers, right? So my title is manager. I like to consider myself a leader because I want to pull
Yeah.
people up with me. I want to lead from the front. I want to, do whatever I need to do to make my guys' lives easier. Um, and so in those situations, I think we
I'm
struggle.
looking for a book. I'm listening. So
But I like to pull people up. But in that same vein,
yeah.
I want to be the dumbest person. The
Right.
goal is to hire people that can replace you. In order to hire people or to train people to replace you, you got to make sure they end up being smarter than you. Because once you hit a certain point in leadership, you are no longer doing the work. You're dealing with people or clients. Your team is doing the work. So I want people that know more than me. If I'm going to hire you for a senior role, that means I'm going to train you to take over the management side of things. But technically, you should know more than me. I should
Well,
not know more than you because I want to be taught by others.
one of the things that um That sounds nice. I'm gonna say that only because, as you know, being in this industry for a while, is that when it comes to hiring people on and the way how IT moves, and there's a difference between manager and leader, because management only look at the stuff that's going on and managing the projects just so they don't have to be in competition with everything else.
Mhm.
But the leaders are actually there for the people. And when I did not want to be a manager in the sense that I'm not putting out the processes that's needed to, again, replace me in case something happens. If I win the lottery, if I manage to not get hit by a bus, everybody use that term. I'm just saying if I come across a lump sum of cash, I might be out of there. To be honest, I think a
I
lot of people will be
mean,
out of there.
look, I ain't gonna tell anybody I won the lottery, but there will be signs.
There
There
will be
will be
such.
signs.
Right. So it's just like, but coming in fresh, because a lot of times when people hire, you'd be like, why didn't you take this person from the ground up and show in progression, like, hey, there is a possibility to grow inside a position. Most of the time, the people don't even want to move up because they was like, they don't want to do that. And hiring outside is usually become the next option. And that's the reason why I said it depends based on what you were saying. It'd be nice to pull somebody up, but if nobody wants to come up, you got to go outside. And then the people can't be resenting you because you went outside. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and again, this is why I say it's not necessarily that I want to pull them up to promote them because that's not always the case. Like you said, some people don't want to be in leadership or management or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's because I expect that out of their knowledge. I expect that out of their intellect. Because to be in IT and cybersecurity, you have to be intelligent. And to me, and I was actually going to do a post about this, and I never did. Intelligence is the ability to learn. I expect people in this industry to have that aptitude to learn the field and learn it on the fly. And so if I'm talking to you and you don't know something, that's okay.
Yeah.
But then tell me you don't know or ask questions. When you don't, and I just have to assume you understood everything I said, that is where the problem lies. So, in order for me to pull you up, I have to know where your limits are. I have to know what you don't know. And at the same time, you have to be able to research. You have to be able to look it up.
I would like to add a caveat to that. It's like yes and meaning that you have to also have that environment. And that's why I asked the question when you had the CISO on about creating that psychological free environment so that they can feel comfortable of
Right.
saying, yes, I can't do this. However, I need some resources or I need to take this class. I need to take this boot camp if you want me to take on this next effort.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the management gonna have to say, like, hey, we don't have it in a budget, but Google has a free option. Can you just take that on your free time or whatever? We'll pay you once you get your certificate, or like a bump in pay, like some type of incentive for going above and beyond and creating your own work. And I think that's one of the things that I guess, I'm jumping the gun here, but it's like building that morale about the work. A lot of people tend to forget, and it's not so much the burnout, but it's so much the loneliness.
Yeah.
And then because I think we were talking about it behind the scenes of where you're saying like one of the guys would like to stay late or whatever. Now, is it you congratulate him for staying late and stuff like that, or reward him, or is he staying late because he doesn't have the resources necessary to complete the job when he needs to do it on a timely fashion?
And it's a combination, right?
Yeah.
So, like, in where I work, right, I get yelled at if I work on the weekend.
Hmm.
My boss has legitimately yelled at me. You don't work after hours. Why the hell are you doing work on a weekend? I've gotten in trouble for that because we want to promote this balance of you need to step the fuck away. I need my people to be able to function during the work week in dealing with our clients. If you are working till 9, 10 o'clock at night, then you're going to come in the next day. You've already put in probably, I don't know, 10 hours. And
Yeah.
now you're going to do that to yourself again. You're putting in 60 hours a week. You're not getting paid anymore, homie. You're not going to get a bonus because you put in 60 hours. You're going to get the same bonus you get all the time for putting in the hours for the people you work for.
Right.
Your bonus is already set. The only thing that can take you above and beyond that bonus is if you get certifications. Then we can add points on top. But as long as we're making money and you're utilized to the percentage we need you utilized, the only additive you get is if you get certifications or go on podcasts or something to put your name out there.
Yeah.
That's it. So
And
putting in 8 hours a week to work
mhm.
on client work, no, sorry. That's not going to get you more money. That's not going to improve your bonus. I'm sorry, it's just not.
And that's one of the things I'm looking at the industry as a whole. The way how we moving towards an AI environment and bringing in automation as much as possible and everywhere that we can get to. However, a lot of people don't even write things down
Yeah.
to get alone to even pass it on to the next person because they feel like, oh, um, I'm adding more value because I'm the only person that knows this information. I was like, no, you're not. We can somebody else can figure it out and they'll jot down the whole thing. Like we can get a tech writer in here in no time. Like
Yeah.
if we really need that process written down, you can hire a tech writer part time. Be like, hey, just come in. We just need you to write this process, and you're like, it's a temporary job, right quick, and knock that out. Or, you can even get an intern. Like somebody would be willing to happy to write down the stuff, even though they might not be hands on, but they still learning and gaining that knowledge. So that the point by the time that intern is done doing all that work, they was like, you can do this with your eyes closed. But they also have the documentation in case again, hey, they might win a lottery on the team lottery pool that week. You know what I'm saying? We never know.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, I know we jumping around, but I
it's
mean
but it's crazy. And we got some questions. And I do want to
okay,
touch
yeah.
on a few things here. Misha did say, glad when people say leader versus manager. Huge difference. Always will be
Hmm.
in my eyes. And that comes from me coming from the military. That's how I view things, right? Your NCOs were supposed to be leaders, not managers.
Correct. Yep.
Plain and simple. People don't want to move up because they don't always have the confidence because of
Mm,
bad management they've had in the past. And that's another key factor. And that's where leadership really comes into play
yeah.
because a leader is going to empower. They are going to allow them to grow, to learn, to build that confidence. And I personally am going to throw you to the wolves. Now I'm going to have your back. I'm going to make sure we don't screw up, but I'm going to throw your ass to the wolves. I'm going to make you learn that confidence. I'm going to tell you where you went wrong, and then I'm going to do it again because I want you to gain that confidence. I want you to be able, especially in a consulting role or an MSSP role, to be able to talk to the clients. And if you can't do that, then I'm sorry, eventually you're not going to be able to move up. You're just not because you're not no matter what I do, no matter how I try to frame it, you're not building your confidence.
Right. And one of the things that for me is because people who took chances with me and are glad that they took chance with me. And it's definitely inside the IT realm, pretty much any job. Everybody's like, yo, just give me a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try this. And also it depends on that leadership style. That's the reason why I kept looking behind because for those of you who are watching this, is that I've been pulling out two books. So first book, I highly recommend every leader
I've
should get.
seen that one. I haven't read it, but I've seen it.
Yes, I highly recommend to read this one. I only had to read up to chapter 2 because I was like, "This is my style of leadership," and I left it at that. So yeah,
Hey, I got 2 chapters deep. No, we good. I got you. I know what you're
right,
trying to tell me.
right. Because think about it, like for me, I'm I know my leadership style. Like I know what I don't want in a leader or somebody in my leadership realm. I'm like, yo, either you trust me or you don't.
Mhm.
Give me the chance to go ahead on and run my own path. Give me my boundaries and just let me go. I can handle the rest. And
Mhm.
that's how I trust everybody the same way until I can't. And then I have to micromanage. And if I have to micromanage, more than likely you're out. Because
Yeah.
at that point, I have to write your own process. I'm doing the work now. I don't need you. I can get somebody else in there and do the job and do it well without minimum interaction. Um,
Yep.
and that's why I pulled around the second book of what you were just talking about is the art of asking. I highly recommend this book for anybody as a reference. Now, remember, I said there's a reference because this book, as a leader, your most powerful tool are the questions that you ask.
I'm learning that from my boy Smitty.
Yeah.
Me and him talk a lot, and and he's even said it's how you frame questions.
Yes.
He's like,
Because
you talk at a PhD level when you're talking to people that might as well be in the Marines. And that just comes from me and him being in the military. But basically talking at a doctorate level, and this person's in like 8th grade.
right.
Like you have to bring it down to the level. And he's not wrong. Like, I do have a bad habit. And the sad part is I do it to people in IT.
Mm.
When I'm talking to executives, when I'm talking to people that aren't in IT or cybersecurity, our sales, project managers, things like that, I articulate things differently.
Yeah.
But if you're in IT or cyber, like I said, my expectations are here, which means if I ask you something and you don't ask a question to clarify, I'm assuming you know what I'm asking.
Facts.
And I've been wrong a few times, assuming that they know what I'm asking. So,
And like Misha said, like far as knowing your audience, the way how you know your audience is just having those one-on-ones. One of the things that my team knows, and they all know this, and what I do myself personally is that I walk fast, but I listen slow, but I also have snacks. So I was like, hey, if you want to come with me, have this conversation, let's go, because I got 3 floors to talk to. I got multiple teams in this building, and then I got a phone call to get on to. So either if you got something that you need to be handled and you need me to listen, you need to walk with me. Walk with me, talk with me, and then I'll introduce you to these other people that more than likely are helping you out on the other end. But because there's so many connections that I've had by being that resource that they needed, man, like people don't realize like how much power you have when people need you. That
mhm.
leverage, man, like yo, hey, I see that some of your equipment's look kind of old over here, look kind of busted. We just got that new shipment in. Um, I just need my team to get some access to this, and you just do a little brief for them for like 15 minutes and let them hang out here. It was like, we can make that happen tomorrow. I was like, well, then you have your new equipment coming in the day after. How about that? And so having that leverage, but also I'm taking treats and stuff like that. So while I'm getting the treats from other offices, I'm coming around like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. Here you go. Like a little snacky snack, chit chat a little bit. Then I'll walk to HR because HR ladies love chocolate. So as long as you got some chocolate, man, they'll take care of you from tooth and nail. Just come by like, oh, I was just thinking about you for the day. Anything new coming down the pipes that you heard that I should be aware of? Like, oh yeah, management were talking about this. I was like, okay, I can leverage and let my team know ahead of time, like, hey, 3 months down the road, we got to get this going. So
But it's
win
all
there.
about communication, networking, and building that rapport. And
Yeah.
that's what people don't understand is like, let's take me and my boss, for instance. I've worked for this man 3 times now.
Hmm.
There was an escalation. Some things occurred. Not my fault. I had good communication with the client. We was on the up and up. Everybody knew what was going on. As far as the person that was going to be signing the check to our organization, because they were the ones that scoped out the work.
Right.
Things got escalated.
Mm.
Cool. My boss gets a hold of me. I told him. I told him what was going on. And I said, look, you either get this director slash senior director, whatever, out of here, or I'm going to go off. And you don't want me to go off because if I'm going to go off, we're going to have issues. He's like, I'll take care of it. And he did. He
Right.
was like, yeah, it became a he said, she said type of deal. And he was like, I've worked for you before. I know your work ethic. I know what you can do. I trust you over some dude that I don't know. I was like, just saying, Ryan, you know me, homie. Like,
Right.
I ain't going to steer you wrong because if he ain't making money, I ain't making money because eventually one of us is losing our job. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I can to help you because helping you helps me. And so it's just one of those things. I build that report. Our PMs,
Oh yeah, the
some
PMs
of
are
our
so important.
CAs, things like that. Like I build that relationship until
Hmm.
you overstep your bounds. Once you overstep your bounds and get involved in my work,
Yeah, we got problems.
then we're gonna have issues. And that's how things play out because
Yep.
don't ever doubt my ability to do work. I had that problem in the military when I worked at the Pentagon.
Hmm.
I've had that issue in other places. And I have absolutely no issue walking up to anybody, no matter their position, rank, grade, it doesn't matter to me, and telling you, stay out of my AO, or we are not going to be seeing eye to eye, and we are going to have some problems. I don't care. And guess what? It has gotten me a lot further than just sitting back and being like, I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take it. Nah. Nah. I communicate, I get my point across, and I'll be nice for the longest time until you try to burn me. Then I got friends. My director, senior director, COOs. I just got to make a few calls. Don't try to
And
burn.
and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. It's like you don't want to burn a bridge with the person that has the most connections. Or because like you have to realize that and I was the person with the most connections. And when people try to cross me or if my team did something bad, I will know about it before they even get back to their desk.
Hmm?
Or I would know about it as it's happening to the point where I have to go out there and do damage control. And if I have to do damage control, we're gonna have a talk. We're gonna have a nice speed walk around, and there's gonna be some apologies going around. But also, it happens on the opposite end as well. So going back to the communication piece, if somebody doing any of my team members wrong, hey, we're gonna have this conversation. We're like, hey, you were saying this about this person, about that work ethic. We need this apology because that's the only thing that's gonna make this right. Because what you're out there spreading is not facts. Everybody else saw it. You're the only one that's actually spreading rumors, and I don't like rumors
Yeah.
because you know I'd rather for you to hear it out my mouth first than anything else, and
Rumors will
that's the way
kill
how we roll.
careers.
Hmm?
Rumors will kill careers.
Yeah,
And they do. I mean, in this industry, you get fired and somebody knows the right person or the wrong person, a rumor can kill a career. And to your point, just as I will go to bat and go to war for my people, I will also be the one to fall on the sword when they screw up. But they're going to hear about it from me.
oh yeah,
You screw up, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you about it. But I'm also not going to let you take that heat. Because you ain't in a position that you should be taking that heat. Not from anyone above me, not from a client. No, that's my job to take that heat. I'll fall on the sword. I don't care. I've got a career. I'm not the one that has to deal with the BS. But that also means I'm setting you up for success because then you'll do that for your people. And that's what it's about. Being in leadership is taking care of your people. Both when they do wrong, you correct them. When they do right, you promote them. You congratulate them. You give them credit where credit is due. And I think me and Devin talked about that last week. Or was it no?
yeah,
Or
y'all
no?
did,
It was me
y'all
and
did,
Carla. It's either me and Devin or me and Carla.
yeah,
Basically um, giving credit where credit's due. Too many. I saw it in the military. I've seen it in other organizations. Too many people take the credit for what their team members do.
like I got books for days. I do a lot of reading, so
The best way to learn, man.
right. So this book right here, if you are a leader or moving into leadership and looking for feedback, this book is the best book for that language, as we talked about earlier. The book is called Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as If Your Life Depending on It by Chris Voss. Chris Voss used to be um, what do they call it? Not the interrogator. You know, the person that comes out in case there's like a barricade and kind of get people to talk them out of killing
Hostage
themselves.
negotiator.
Yes, negotiator. Thank you. And so because of that, he's been doing it for years. His language is very key and important. And I think this is the best book to talk about that. So kind of separate yourself from that situation. If somebody's going through hurt or grief or something like that, you can say, oh, that situation. Take that situation out, not say it's the person is the issue. Hey, that situation that happened, that was really a tough situation. Or, oh, it seems like not that you having a tough time with it. Oh, that thing must have been really challenging. Tell me about it. What were your thoughts about it? And then say, tell me more. Like as a leader, you're supposed to be there for your people, but also understanding again what Misha was saying. It's like knowing your audience. And this is one of the things to know your audience is A, how to talk to them, but B, actually being able to sympathize with them and understand where they're coming from and their thoughts and mindsets, because this is very important as a leader, mostly because, again, we need people to do the jobs that we just don't have time to do. And two, it's like this helps out with retention as well and morale of the team.
And it also, but again, it comes down to not just imposter syndrome, but being the dumbest person in the room, because at a certain point, we can no longer have our hands on the keyboards. We can no longer
That's
be
true.
the ones doing all the work, which means we're going to lose that knowledge. It's not going to be at the tip of our tongue. It's not going to be in our brain. We're going to have to learn it, but we don't have the time to learn it because now we're dealing with meetings and clients and people and all this other stuff. So when I hire people, when you have, you have your people, it's I don't want to have to be on every single call to make sure the work is getting done. I've got other calls, other clients, other things I need to do. And so I'm expecting my people to be able to handle those calls, do the work, and do it right. But to your
Yeah.
point of processes, right? And this is
Yep.
why I want to be the dumbest person in the room, because I want you to know more about me, more than me, about the tech stack and about what's going on, because I don't
Mhm.
have the time of day to consistently learn it anymore. Like, I have to get my CEUs for my SysP. I will probably sit down and do the most basic shit. Actually, one of my buddies was telling me I can use my podcast for my
You can
CEU.
use your podcast. Yeah,
So
that's
I'll
what I did.
probably end up doing that because I owe 3 years worth. So probably
Mhm.
what I'm end up doing, because I've been doing it for 4 years, so it'll work. But when I look at things, I don't have the time of day like I did when I was in the army and would do it after hours and I wasn't in the industry yet, or when I was in other jobs trying to work my way up, to be doing hack the box every night, to be
Mhm.
doing try hack me every night. Like, I do my research to stay up to speed on the technologies that are out, but not enough to legitimately like know the ins and outs and intricacies of every piece of software. I don't. So I expect the people that I hire for specific roles to know that technology, because
And
that's why I'm hiring you.
right. That's one of the things that people don't understand is like, yes, you got the job, you're excited about getting the job, but there are expectations. And I think that management, there's a reason why I want to separate management from leadership. Management was like, okay, well, you say you could do it, do it. Leaders would actually go in and actually sit with you, make sure you understand.
Hmm.
They don't have to be the hands on keys. They can be the dumbest person, but they expect you to at least have that conversation like, hey, what's going on with this piece?
Yeah,
I would like to at least know, every time something like this happens, it could be like a temporary report just so I can get my bearings under,
and that's what we do. My
yeah,
boss even sent one to me. He goes, "Hey, for clients now, let's do a sit rep."
yeah.
And I was like, "Cool." So I went to my guys like, "Yo, send me a sit rep like every week, or after every client meeting. Like, if we have
Mhm.
meetings with this client every day, I want a sit rep every day. I need to know where we're at in the process so that we can deliver this either A, to the client, or B, just internally. So when somebody asks me questions, I know what the hell's going on, and I'm not talking out the side of my neck. Like, I need to know these things. And then if you have issues, I can go to war for you, because you're not in a position of leadership right now. You may be a senior a technician or engineer or whatever, but you don't have the pull that I do coming into these situations, or that my boss does coming into these situations. So when you have these issues, if you're having pushback, reach out, because as long as you're doing the right thing, I'll go to war for you. If you're doing the
Yeah.
wrong thing, I'm still gonna be there for you, but me and you talking, me and you gonna have a conversation.
Yeah. And one of the things that I want to say for those of you, I mean, I'm not sure how many people right now that are watching, but for those of you who are watching, can you put in that you are a leader? If you are not, that's fine. But one of the things that there's several types of leaders, and you need to know which one is your style of leadership it is, because some people won't will only follow the type of leader that they want to have. Like for me, I'm not the person that's going to be hands on keys. I've done that before, but yeah, I could take a step back from it all and still kind of guide you. But you're not going to get over on me because I do know a little bit.
Mhm.
But some people only follow those people who are fully hands on keys. They can do the work, they just choose not to. So people will only follow those people who are like action pack leaders. Like they actually doing the work. Almost like 300. I'm sure you saw 300 the
But even
movie.
then, even then, you and I could still do the work, and I
Yeah.
still have to get my hands dirty. I still got to do the job, which means I'm doing research on the back end, making
Hmm.
sure I'm not fucking shit up, because I'm like, I ain't touched this one yet. Let me figure it out real quick.
Right.
All right, cool. But I'm not afraid to do the research on the fly, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn good at researching on the fly. I built my career off of researching on the fly because I got thrown into positions where, do you know this?
What-
I know the foundations,
Right.
the actual software, no, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I built my career off of that. I built my career off of not knowing the particular piece of software, but I know what it's supposed to be able to do.
Right.
If I know what it's supposed to be able to do, I can figure out the software.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
And so I was gonna go with that is like, depending on your style, but the way how I lead is like more of a guide. So from the support side of the house, like I'm supporting you all day. Whatever tools you need, go for it. I'll fight for you, get the dollars worth it. But if you're not putting in the work and showing that you can actually do the work or that you're really trying, I'm not going to push out as many resources. I was like, hey, if you hit a personal milestone, then yeah, I might give you a day off or something like that. Or, you know, give you like a little ice cream social because you actually hit a milestone and everybody get to celebrate with you. That's one of the things that I do. But it's like if you're going to sit there and sulk and bring the team down, I don't need that. But all I do is tell stories. And one of the things that I do to tell stories, I'll tell a story about like how like things were bad for me as in IT. Like I was struggling with relationships, just trying to study for certifications. Like I was staying up late nights and pushing out getting these certifications done. Or I'll talk about like how I failed to even to become an FBI agent. Like I told that story to my team and they don't recall what the heck I was talking about, like the moral of the story, but they remember that when I said I was a FBI, I was trying to apply for FBI agent. It was really me just trying to do that 1.5 mile run. I haven't ran in like years. And you expect me to run a mile and a half in like what was it like 13 minutes or something like that?
I
Like,
don't
no,
even
I
know what
can.
the reg was. I looked at it when I got med boarded out of the army, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, I do a PT test? I got to
Right.
run? Yo, I got discharged because I can't run no more. No, I'm good, homie. Y'all can have that.
Right.
I just want to break into shit and be in
Yeah. And do
cybersecurity.
the fun stuff.
Nah, nah, y'all can have that. I'm good.
Yeah. So because I was able to tell that story, it's just like as a leader, you also have to be a good storyteller. You don't have to be the best, but you should be able to bring a story of the struggles if the team is struggling right now, hey, talk about your story, your win,
Mhm.
or what you've overcome. And then have a story. You have to have like another story where you actually were on the top of the mountain and just something just really knocked you down. But also, how did you get out of that? Like as a leader, that is your job as well to not only just kind of say, okay, well, I'm gonna lead these people and then forget the people. Like you gotta still resonate with them on a daily basis, not a daily basis, but a check-in, whatever your rhythm is with the team.
It's called motivation and mentorship.
Yeah.
So the two M's are my leadership style.
Okay.
I want to motivate you to be the best you can be.
Mhm.
But when you're struggling, you got questions, when you're trying to figure out your career path, when you're trying to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to mentor you. But I have a key point to my mentorship style.
Mm.
You need to research.
Yeah.
And I've said this on every episode that's come up about mentoring in cybersecurity. Don't tell me you want to get into cyber. Tell me where. And
Yes.
so where I work, we asked our people, give me three things you want to do. The one that you get hired for, the one that you want to do potentially to move into, and then one that you can do as a third if like we got two people on PTO and we got a client that like really needs something and I know you can be able to do the research to do it. Three things that because position one, you only need to know the one thing. If I hire you as a
Yeah.
junior, you're getting hired for that one position. You move up, well, now we're going to expect you to know more. We're going to expect you
Mhm.
to be able to do more, which means you're not just going to be a master at that because cybersecurity is so broad and the things that we do in my organization are so broad. I need you to do more than two things. And then as a senior, now your knowledge base and your ability to learn should grow a little bit more, which means now I need you to be able to do three things. If you cannot live in three spaces, and that third space is, like I said, just kind of a throwaway of like, hey, he got sick, she's out on PTO, I need you to backfill.
Right.
That's all that is. It's not like a permanent thing. It's just I need you to know enough to be dangerous. That's what I need. And so that's what I look for my people is can you learn? Level one, learn what you're hired for. To get to level two, you better be learning something else. To get to level three, you're going to add a third thing to that.
I'm laughing at Jack. That's all.
Jack's a trip. Jack, I like how he says 13 is a brisk jog.
Right.
And I still ain't making it.
This guy.
So we at quarter till. So I don't want to skip out on Misha's question. So let's pull this
Very
up.
good. Good.
Do you find that the struggle of finding your spot in IT, so to say, helps you be a better leader or mentor to both those who know their path and don't?
I would have to say it can help, but also it depends on the person. I'm gonna take the, it all depends. The reason
That's
why,
like the story of the cybersecurity career field, man. Like people are like, hey, is this gonna work? Depends.
right?
Maybe it's technology, so
Right.
maybe not. You never know.
Right. You can't say stability and IT in the same sentence. But one of the things that finding the IT spot that struggle, I would say yes. It's almost like life. You can't say like, oh, I had an amazing life when you haven't felt lost yet. You haven't been through the loss of hope, the loss that, you know, everybody around you saying that you can't make it, saying that the naysayers, you got to go through that. And having the management style, and it's a blessing to see. Sometimes people take it for granted to have a good leader. And then when that leader either A decides to go, or another management comes in and kind of derail it, you will definitely know the difference in the tone and pace of everything. And I think it's important to know what it is that you like and dislike when it comes to management. Especially, you need to learn your style as a follower just as much as it is to be a leader. Because then you be like, okay, well, I like this. I like to do my work solo. I don't need praise and all that stuff like that. It'll be nice to have, but I don't need it. Paycheck's enough. I just want to show up to work, have a nice little chit chat, hang out with my friends, and do my work. That's all I want to do. I don't need really leadership over my back. Some people are like, hey, I like the daily check in with my leadership. I want to know what they're doing and everything like that. That's great. But then when you become that lead, you have to understand that you're dealing with multiple personalities.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing about me being the teacher as my background, I can deal with multiple personalities because these kids, what else? It's a whole
Well,
other
to be
story.
fair, Anthony, you also have multiple personalities. All right, like the
Yeah,
rest of us in IT and cyber, we got at least three.
that is true. That's you right on that one. Some dark times, man. But you need those struggles though. And I think that it will really help. For me personally, my understanding is that it will really help. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a few things that make you a better leader and mentor or both, whatever. And that is dealing with all facets.
Mm,
So one of the things that many people and again, this is why the sole reason why I have personal loyalty, not brand loyalty. There's a difference.
yep.
Because coming up in the military, I had different leaders all the time. Some really shitty, some really good. So I try to live up to the standard that I was taught in the military for the really good leaders because I learned what not to do. I learned I I didn't like that. I don't want to be like that. That's not going to be me. But I really like this. But then you learn from other good leaders and other bad leaders what not to do and what to do. And then when I got in the industry, when I retired and got in the industry, again, I learned what not to do, the type of leader not to be, and or manager, whatever you want to call it. And then I learned what to do. I have personal loyalty to those who take care of their people because I know that if shit hits the fan at my house, working for the right person, not organization, person, then it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Because the organization is going to set standards and limits and put all these restrictions on things. You work for the right leader, they're going to tell you, do what you need to do, take care of your family, take care of your home. I got you.
Yep.
And that's the difference. You see, we have come to a time in our lives, we've come to a time within society, within security, within IT, where everything can be done remotely. Now, there are still those companies and organizations and things like that that require you to go to the office. So in those situations where you have to go to the office, what happens when you have a family emergency? Is that person above you or to your left or right going to tell you, yo, I got you. Don't worry about it. Stay home, go home, whatever you need to do. I got you. Don't worry about your PTO hours. Don't worry about anything like that.
We'll take
You're
care of it
good.
when you get
You're
back.
covered. Or are they going to be the type to be like, well, you still need to put in PTO, or you need to take emergency leave, or you need to do this, that, and the third? You see, in the military, I dealt with that. I dealt with people that when shit was hitting the fan for me, they wanted me to take leave. They wanted me to take and do things a specific way, even though I had leave.
Right.
It's weird. I can get into that whole conversation. Had to do with a shitty CO. Whole conversation about that. But that taught me what not to do. I already had con leave for a surgery, but he wasn't happy with that. And so they were like, well, I was like, yo, I'm going home for Christmas. They were like, well, you got to take leave. So what my E7 do? He took that piece of paper, put it under his fucking keyboard, and it was like, you're good, homie. And I did it all over the phone.
Nice.
Because that's what good leadership does.
Yeah.
We had shitty leaders. His superiors were like, oh, no, you got to do this. Nah, homie. I'm going to take care of my people. Make sure that they're not getting hit up for something that's not their fault. Something that they have no control over. And that's what I take from that. When I have people have medical emergencies, I'm not, well, we have unlimited PTO anyways, but even if I didn't, I'm not going to charge you PTO. I'm going to allow you, and I'm going to get you in contact with the people that will allow you to take that emergency. Make sure that if you're gone for an extended period of time, you're still getting paid.
Yeah.
Because you need to get paid. And I'm not going to charge you PTO for it. I'm going to say you're at work until you no longer have to be at work.
But also,
so that comes through.
But like you said earlier on, it's like having those connections is a good leader, because then you already know the people that holds the pen, that handle at the end of the day, because it's like, hey, all my people need to go through this person anyway. You know who that person is. You drop off those chocolates from time to time. You say happy birthday. You say happy Mother's Day. You say happy Father's Day or whatever, to show that you see them, even though nobody else recognizes them. Give them a thank you card just randomly from the team. Like, taking care of the people, even when it's not necessary, it's the most important thing. And for those of you who are looking at leadership and are afraid of it, what we're talking about is something that's really minor, but it's a huge impact to the way how you operate as a leader. And to have that impact, I could say, is like, it's something that you can't quantify. It's more so the qualities of you as a leader and as a person, as a personal brand of who you are. And yeah, I just gotta leave with that one.
But and let's be real though, right? When we're in those situations, I've been in this career field. I've been in IT and cybersecurity since I was a kid, and I'll say that outright. I fixed my first computer at like 7 years old.
See, there you go.
Same all the way up to 37 years old. So I've effectively been in some form of IT or cyber because I did it on my own, and I will stand on this 10 toes down, just like I tell people to build their own labs. If you've been doing the work on your own by yourself for however long you've been in the career field that long, you may not have to deal with idiots that long,
right?
But you've been in the career field that long.
Yep.
And so on that, you've worked with Windows or DOS. I could literally sit there, pull up a command line, and do just about anything I need to do through command line by memory, because I lived in DOS 3.1 for way too many years.
Yep.
I used to drop out of Windows 3.11 into DOS for the sole purpose of being able to do things because I preferred it.
Yep.
But again, I came up in this. And so for as long as I've been in it, and eventually there are some of us that just get tired of having their hands on the keyboard. Not everybody. You're still going to find those managers and leaders and things like that want to keep getting their hands dirty. Got you. But guess what? At a certain point, you just can't take it anymore. I got a wife and 5 kids. I got a family and things I need to do. I can't keep up with the changes in technology. I can keep up with the terminology. I can keep up with the brands. I can keep up with what's going on in the AI space, and what's going to keep you safe online and what's going to secure companies foundationally. but actually being able to sit there and touch every sim, every EDR, every fucking you name it that they want to come out with, I ain't got the time for that. That's why I hire people smarter than me, because I want them and want to be able to rely on them to do the job, so that when we're having a conversation about the foundations of how things are working and I understand what they're saying, I may not know how to do it, but I understand what they're doing. Big difference. I
Mhm.
can't program a fucking firepower or a Palo Alto anymore. But I guarantee you, you tell me what you're doing, I'll understand what you're doing. I just don't
Mhm.
know how to do it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So if I had to figure it out, I could. I just don't want to. I'm too old. Been doing it for too long. I got too many kids that have taken my brain power from me. I'm sorry. I got shit to do,
Got that to
just like
do.
you do.
Right.
So I expect my people to keep up with the technology they're responsible for and learn a little bit more. But at the end of the day is the end of the day.
At the end of the day, they ain't gonna end.
I tell my people all the time, yo, after afternoon on a Friday, if you ain't
Mhm.
got any meetings, if
Deuces.
you ain't got nothing else, I'll call you if I need you,
Yep.
because I ain't gonna be there. Like, y'all better hope you got my cell phone number if you need me, because if you ain't got my cell phone number, you ain't important enough to fucking get a hold of me. All right, see you later.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I want to say, I guess the reason why I want to go back to the people who are beginner um,
I like beginner.
leaders. Yeah, because the beginner leaders that are just coming into the field of leadership, you already have been doing it and feeling, and you could be feeling that imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
But again, you in order for you to gain those confidence, if I could just leave three things that all new leaders should at least do. First off, and these are my opinions, so this is not like 100% golden, but it has reigned true for me as I've been moving along with teams and dealing with people that are older than me, younger than me, or even the same age. Is first off is just take the survey. Just do a climate survey. Like I don't care if they just finished doing a climate survey. Do one for your team and just say like, "Hey guys," because they can be honest with you
Mhm.
and just say like, "Hey, I'm here to support you guys, but in order for me to support you, I need to at least know where you guys are at." Take that poll, do like a 5 questionnaire, 10 questionnaire. If you have like a portal or something like that on your uh at your company, set one up. Do it then and there. If you guys on like, outside and you really don't matter, just do something like a what's it called, Survey Monkey or something like that.
Yeah.
Um have that up front. Then secondly, take care of that low hanging fruit. Something that's common themes that's like, hey, everybody complaining that it's dirty around here. Cool. Get the cleaning company in there. First thing, that's the easiest thing. Like I could tell you that was one of the things that built morale immediately with my teams. All I did was just say like, "Hey, I'm gonna have a monthly cleaning crew come in here and do this," and it was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, y'all complain about the dust. Let's get the dust taken care of. Vacuum the floors. Make it look like you actually are proud of coming to work. Nobody wants to come to work dirty." And then work from there. The second thing is what we already talked about, which is really having those one-on-one conversations with people. See where they at, know your audience, get to really understand what drives that person to come to work every day. What drives them when they not at work? Like what would they rather be doing outside of work? Um, and Dargy has some great questions. Like start with your questions on getting people moving. And then lastly is to stay true to your word,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day gonna end. But I just want to say that um, your personal brand is on the line as well, and
Yeah.
who you are going forward. And if you can't even keep the basic thing, like say, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot you an email when I get to my desk," if you can't even uphold that, then they can't even trust you on the big things. To saying like, "Hey, you really got that back for their what do they call it? Their timesheets." You don't have that back when something really hits the fan with family. Like if you can't even handle just sending out a basic email, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So those are the main three things I would say as a brand new leader is to check out, is to make sure you do that. And also I got one last book I highly recommend to read, which is called The Adventures of an IT Leader. That book took me through my master's degree. If you guys see the little certificate behind me, it's just my database management degree. And that's why I did a command line too. So I love that thing.
I love command line. But no, dude, it's been awesome having you on it. And like my final words to everybody is look, even if you're not in leadership, if you're just breaking into the industry, if you're just trying to get into the industry, expect your leaders to do what you expect them to do. That makes sense. Meaning, if you want to be led by somebody a certain way, you have to make that known. Because if that is not your leadership style that they operate by, then it's never going to work out there. You're going to destroy your mental health. You're going to destroy your willingness to stay in the career field because you're dealing with bad leadership. And again, every leader's different. Some micromanage, some don't. Some don't want to touch a keyboard. Some love touching the keyboard. It doesn't matter. Just find your style. And again, find the ones that are going to support you. I think that is the biggest thing you can do breaking into the industry is find a leader in an organization that is going to support you because your life matters just as much as theirs because I guarantee you they're hiring for a reason, meaning they need people, which means they need you, which means if that organization, if that leader, if that manager is not going to support you, they need you. And it's going to suck to say, but they really need you more than you need them because you may need the money, but by working there, if you don't like who they are, if they don't operate on the same frequency you do, it's going to destroy you mentally, which is going to do more harm than making that money. Wait for the position that's right for you. Ooh. Don't just jump on the first position because you can.
That brought up, oh man, this show could be so long. Because
it could.
In my career, I started off with chasing, like in the IT realm, as those of you who are new to the industry or getting into the industry, you chase titles. Chase titles before you chase the dollars. Because I could tell you this, as soon as I got security behind as my title in one of my jobs, my paychecks went through the roof. Even though I was already getting underpaid, I took the job even though I knew I was getting underpaid. But because it had the word security in there, I think I was like an information system security specialist. So I triple S, whatever. Just because it had security in the title, it increased. I was able to leverage additional $20K when I moved to my next job, just because it has security in it. So chase the titles before you start chasing dollars. That's what I did.
Money will come.
Yeah.
Money will come. Give it time. But I love you all. You're all my warriors. You're all my family. Thank you once again, Anthony, for being here this evening. No it's been a pleasure. Thank you for all the information, all the wisdom. And once again, please remember to check out About That Wallet. Anthony got a great podcast. He does great things on YouTube and mainly podcasts. That's where he seems to have all of his listeners. But please subscribe to his YouTube channel. Also, start giving him some views and getting him known out there as well. Share videos, comment, like, subscribe, all that fun jazz. Super chats, tips, and memberships are all great. I'm grateful for all of them. I'm sure Anthony would be as well. Because one of these days, we'd really actually like to make an income from this and not an expense. Just saying.
At least enough to cover the
right. Well, at least cover the expenses. Otherwise, look, I love you all. Take care. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you all next week with another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour.